Welcome back to more Let's Play Metroid Prime. Last time, we got several very important items. The plasma beam, probably first and foremost, and, of course, the X-ray visor, which, while it's not my favorite visor in the game, it's at least very useful. After that, we started doing a ton of backtracking to get basically every collectible item in the game, barring the items in Phase on Mines, because, well, we'll just clear that once we actually properly clear Phase on Mines. Makes sense, doesn't it? Still, today I believe we're headed all the way back to Research Station Hydra, because there's something there that we saw quite some time ago that needed melting. And with our newfound plasma beam, it should be no trouble. Also, these gel zaps are annoying. But luckily, with all of our nifty little upgrades, getting back there shouldn't be hard at all. Now granted, actually exploring and navigating the place, it is still going to be quite annoying, because if you remember, we fell back into the water. I was going to say we knocked the power out last time we were there. Also, as you can see, for some reason the plasma beam is very prone to bouncing off the gel zaps, but frankly it's such an insignificant problem that it's really hard to still say don't use it against them. Just another little weird thing that I feel is worth pointing out. Otherwise, let's see, yep, back this way. And I will say, the boost ball does help with all the backtracking and the morph ball segments. I don't hate it. It's just, well, it's backtracking. What do you expect? Gosh darn it. There we go. Hey. Really? Surprised that missed that many times. Oh well. Oh. Ow. Yeah. Because the grapple beam has a bit of a travel time to it, it might not always work when you try to use it. Not a huge deal, but just something to keep in mind more than anything. Still, it's fine. We'll just walk around like a normal player rather than try to be all fancy with our new toys. Otherwise, now that we are coming back this way, we can get back to the research station very quickly. Maybe not as quickly as some may have liked, but frankly, I don't mind it all that much. If anything, it gives me another excuse to enjoy this very nice music. Let's see, we gotta go up, which means we need to deal with the flying pirates. And again, luckily, the plasma beam has you covered with dealing with them. It would be honestly catastrophic if you had to super missile them pretty much every time you found them. Not that you have to, but it's so much faster than just shooting them normally with charge beam shots. Plus, charge beam shots are prone to miss, as you've seen even with the plasma beam. As you can see, luckily, it's not too dark to where you couldn't traverse here normally, but it's still decently dark. Notably, you can use the X-ray scope almost as efficiently as the thermal one, which I think is kinda neat. It may not still look the greatest on your eyes, but it is a choice. Still, thermal scope is absolutely the way to go. And as you can see too, plasma beam, very effective on normal Metroids. Otherwise, these turrets, I tell ya. Not my favorite things to deal with. But what are you gonna do? When backtracking, you really don't get much of a choice, do ya? The one thing that does kind of suck about fighting mechanoid enemies, such as the turrets and the drones, is that both the thermal visor and the X-ray scope really don't pick them up all that well. The X-ray is a bit better, admittedly, but even then, and not by much. You can see their silhouette a fair bit, but it's still not phenomenal. Still, it's at least better that than not being able to see. So, I suppose, take your pick. There we go. And yeah, see, most pirates die to one charge beam from the plasma beam. One charge beam. One charge shot from the plasma beam. It is a supremely powerful weapon. Man, do I love it. It really does make backtracking so much quicker. If you've never legitimately used this thing all that much, I would seriously give it a try. But to be fair, I feel like most players probably love this beam just as much as I do. But then again, I guess I don't know. Do I? Still, that's why I give it my hearty recommendation. Excuse me, Bombu. I frankly cannot be bothered with killing you right now. You simply take much too long for me to care. But with all that out the way, we're now back here. Thank you, Mr. Elevator. And hey, what do you know? The same flying enemies we've been dealing with the entire time through Fendrana. They really love putting these guys everywhere, and I don't hate them. They're just annoying. Honestly, I'm not sure if I'd tie these guys, or what I would say is worse, the Chozo Ghosts, or if these guys are tied with them. Because admittedly, we haven't seen the Chozo Ghosts nearly as often as I feel like I remember ever seeing them, but we see these guys almost everywhere we go. So honestly, they might take the cake on that one, which I think is somewhat impressive. Anyways, with the ice melted, we simply blow that up. And down comes the tower, opening up a new way to go. And frankly, this is one of the weirdest things in the game. The artifact has just been sitting here this whole time. No special room, nothing. Literally viewable from the air. Anyways, this is the artifact of Elder, the third of 12. Not bad. Not bad. Otherwise, come up this way. And simply roll your way on out. Not too bad. A little annoying, I suppose, having to come all the way back here just for this. But, again, if you happen to miss any items the first time through, now's a great time to grab them again. So, again, I really can't fault the game too much. If anything, it's just making sure you're dotting your T's, or crossing your T's and dotting your I's. I don't know why I always mix that one up. But you get the point. It's just trying to make sure that you get all the items you missed, by making you go through the same areas multiple times in one playthrough. Which, to be fair, it at least has a purpose. It's much better than just getting lost and trying to stumble through things. It really helps and pays if you remember things. More security drones here. Which, honestly, I think I like the X-ray visor for fighting these guys. It may not be the most efficient one, because I think the normal combat visor is a bit better for just seeing them. But, unfortunately, you don't have the ability to see in the dark with the normal combat visor. So, in this very, admittedly niche scenario, I think it reigns supreme. Where am I going? This way. See, this is where not having the map up top is a kind of a really big downside. You get lost and you take more damage than you intend to, all because they didn't put the map up there. Ooh, don't use that visor. Ooh. Again, probably just a bit of a minor oversight, if anything, but it's at least not too bad. still, with everything gone this way, or I say everything gone, everything collected that way, I suppose, is probably the better way of looking at it. We can come back here. And I think at this point we want to return to the Thardis arena because there were a couple grapple points in there that we can now access. So, simply come back this way. I know it's been a while since we went and fought him, but yeah, he was all the way over here. Hello, security drones. Oh, of course you locked the door. Oh, I hate you so. But at least with the plasma beam, you're easy. Beautiful. Simply roll on through the bamboos. Equip your wave beam. And now we can already see the grapple points. And as an added treat, they even have an entire Sheegoth here, which is kind of cool. The other nice thing is that with the plasma beam, you can just straight up shoot it. You don't even have to aim for its mouth anymore. This makes retracing your steps here so much easier. Seriously. Really makes me wish I had it the first time we had gone through here. It also makes me wonder, how would certain bosses, like say Thardis, react to the plasma beam? I wonder if it did hit him, if it would actually do damage, and if it would do a bunch of damage. I guess I don't know. What I do know is there's a nice little missile expansion here. Very convenient. And some more things to read. Research on Talon 4 is expanding into new areas. Pending stabilization of the Thardis venture, we will expand in animation research to include other native Talon 4 materials. Interesting. The taming of Thardis continues. Barring unforeseen setbacks, it can be installed on Phazon Mine Patrol by Lotus Milestone. Interesting. But, well, Thardis is long gone. So, never mind that. And at this point, I think that should be everything from these areas. So we should be able to head back to the ruined courtyard and then start going through, I believe, Ice Ruins West and Ice Ruins East in order to get pretty much all the rest of the items here in Phendrana, if I'm remembering correctly. The only big downside of collecting all these items in one big go like this and not using a checklist, which I should have done, is that you kind of just gotta remember where you have and haven't been and what upgrades you did and didn't have when you were there. So it's a lot of playing the whole, oh, did I go back with this? Did I have the item I needed? Is there something I missed there that I forgot on this playthrough? But again, worst case, we'll just double check them another time, and that's that. I suppose, too, it'll be interesting and make for a good note on if I did miss anything, where that item is, and to, more or less for me, for future playthroughs, to make a mental note of saying, hey, I missed this, don't forget it again. Admittedly, when I replayed this game not too long ago, there were a couple items like that I absolutely forgot and had to spend, I think, 3 hours searching through the entire game again for. So it can be a little rough, and it's one of the reasons I wouldn't really blame you if you're not super into the Metroid games for repeatedly putting things like that in the game. I don't hate it so much as some people do, but again, I can understand completely being annoyed at it. At least, though, with things like the plasma beam, fighting old enemies feels great. I mean, seriously, that Sheegoth went down in seconds. Feels pretty good, admittedly. Boop. Blow that up. Grab another power bomb expansion. Very useful. Let's see. Ruined courtyard. I don't believe there's anything in Fendrana Canyon. Should be just the boost ball. And we should be able to continue out this way. Now, our missile count's doing pretty good, admittedly. We're at 170. I believe the maximum missile count is 250. So, keep that in mind. Also, as you can see, weirdly enough, the little ones are actually a little harder to fight than the bigger one because they have a fatter head, which makes our shots bounce. Kind of funny. Still, dropping down here, we can finally get this missile expansion after all this time. Beautiful. And I believe, yep, we need to go up and to the right. And then we'll go back to the Chozo Ice Temple, because believe it or not, there's something there for us as well. After all, a lot of these areas have goodies for you that you may not have thought to come back and look at. Plus, it's almost like you have to re-explore the entire area for, what, the third, fourth time at this point in the game? But at least this time, you can finish things up and be done with it. That is rather nice. And let's see here. What do we got? Big Shiga. Nothing we can't handle, especially now that we have our nifty plasma beam. See, look at that. 2 charge shots and it's down. Man, that is darn convenient. Otherwise, the other pesky missile up to 180, which feels phenomenal, by the way. Then we should be able to come up this way. Use our nice little morph ball and go up these spider ball tracks to grab another missile expansion. Very useful. Also, added bonus, plasma beam. Very effective against ice enemies. I feel that, honestly, they made a really good call making the plasma beam the more usable between the ice and fire beams. Because, frankly, most of the items in backtracking you're going to be doing is through Fendrana. So having the more effective weapon be against the majority of enemies you're going to fight is a pretty good call. After all, the only real fire-based enemies I can think of is what? The Magmor and those little mites. Past that, every other enemy you seem to find in Magmor is pretty much just a normal enemy you can find anywhere else, like the little puffer guys. Any beam deals with them just as good as any other. So sure, the added damage of the plasma beam is nice, but they're not specifically a fire enemy now, are they? I'm trying to think of what other enemies you find in there. I guess you find the space pirates, but as you've seen, plasma beam, also good against them. So unless you're fighting specifically Magmors or, what, the little bug guys who burrow down, the plasma beam is kinda just the best weapon. Sure, it can't destroy bomb boost, I'll give you that. But it can solve puzzles relating to ice, which no other beam can do. Still, like every other beam, it has its ups and downs, that's for sure. It just so happens that the plasma beam has a lot more ups than it does downs, that's for sure. And in here, another Chozo artifact. Very useful. The artifact of Sun, the 9th of 12. Filling in our artifact wheel quite nicely. Only 6 to go. That does also make me wonder, what ones don't we have that we have clues for? The artifact of Wild. Ah, back in the Sun Chamber where we fought, what was it? Balagra, I think? Blagra, something like that. The big plant boss that gave us the Varia suit. The one of Life Giver. within the ruins where light always shines. So if you remember that room where we got the wave buster, we have a hidden one, which is kind of rude. Another hidden one, again, rude. The world, which is in the Hall of Elders, using the fire beam, or plasma beam. And then another hidden one. So realistically, most of the other artifacts are well within our reach, except for the few hidden ones, which admittedly, we're going to get to, and boy, am I not a fan of them. There's one very in particular that I do not like, and man, do I really dislike where they hit it and how they hit it, because there is no indication you even need to look there for it. In fact, we have actively passed and looked at it several times in our playthrough. Kind of a kick in the face, to be completely honest. But, with all that, I believe that is every item here in Phendrana Drifts. As far as I remember and have collected, I could be very wrong. There might be one we missed, but I'm pretty sure we got most, if not all of them. So, well, if we return, it's on me. Still, I'm feeling pretty good. Overall, anyways. There's still always going to be the worry that I did miss something in the back of my head, but we won't know that until much later in the game. So now, we have all of our backtracking through Magmore. Now, if I were you, basically pick a way and just start going. I want to say everything up to the geothermal core we have absolutely obtained. And I want to say pretty much everything up to Transport Talon Overworld West should be obtained. Ooh, barring one thing. Still, we'll see that very quickly. Now we know we got the energy tank in here, which thank goodness, I really don't want to do more bomb jumping. Not that it's that bad, but still, it can be a little annoying. But if you remember in this room, we found the artifact of Warrior pretty early on, all things considered. I want to say it was one of the few artifacts we got and then kind of just dipped with. Let's take a look. It is the room above me. Right. So we need to go this way. Because, believe it or not, we actually want to go back into that room. If you remember, and if you don't, that's why I'm telling you, there was a Bendesium cover that we could blow up once we had the means to do so. Now that we have power bombs, thank goodness we have 6 of them, getting that shouldn't be a big deal. So, let's make our way on over and see just what lies there for us. Now, notably, there's a very good chance there's something else I'm missing toward the area we were at earlier when we went back to Magmore to get the plasma beam. So, I might go back and check just to make sure. But, down in here, another power bomb expansion. Incredibly useful. I want to say the max power bombs you can carry in this game are 8. So based on our count, we're either missing one or we have them all. I'm not incredibly certain which, to be completely honest, because frankly, I haven't been keeping count too well. Still, point is, we have a fair amount of them. Also, this makes me wonder, seeing as we're fighting a Magmore. Turns out, Plasma Beam works just fine. So frankly, it's not effective against most fire enemies. It's just not that great against, like, what? One of them? Because Because frankly, that's still incredibly efficient. One charge beam shot to take out an entire enemy? I mean, frankly, there are worse rates. So let's see. I want to say most of this is good. It should be. I'm going to trust that everything this way is done. I just wanted to double check what rooms these were, because there is a very strange upgrade here still for us that I do remember very specifically. Also, remember how I said there's a relic we've been staring at almost the entire game? It's in one of these rooms. Ow. That's a bit rude. I believe very specifically, it is called the Lake of Fire. So I will be looking out for that rather heavily. Oh, in this room. This is the odd one. So right here, these panels are cracked. Should we scan it? Scans show stress fractures in bendesium frame. Oh. So all this time, we could blow this up. I want to say this is also an allusion to Super Metroid, where you did the same thing to get to Meridia. So rather than going to the water stage, we get the ice expansion, the ice spreader. Ice spreader acquired. This powerful attack uses 10 missiles. Use the ice spreader, or the ice beam, press and hold A to charge, and then press Y to fire. Additional data has been downloaded. Now, frankly, I don't think I ever really use this one, like at all. So let's see here. Sustained fire, single shots. Let's see. Super missiles. The ice spreader is the ice charge combo. It can freeze targets in a wide area. Samus's notes. Ice spreader is a single shot charge combo. Each shot costs 10 missiles. Ice spreader is limited against aerial targets. So yeah, it kind of does one thing. It's kind of just a bigger charge beam shot that I don't think really notably does much. Sure, it spreads ice in a large area, but I really don't think it's all that useful. To be completely honest, I don't think it's bad. It's just there are other upgrades that I think completely outshine it. Like, why would I ever use this thing? And maybe that's just me. I'm certain there are areas and rooms that this thing is useful, but frankly, the raw damage capability of the plasma beam makes the ice spreader seem just terrible. And even then, if I want more damage than what the plasma beam can offer, I'm probably just going to use a super missile for the sake of my missile count. Again, I don't think it's useless. It's just I've never really used it, to be completely honest. Maybe it's phenomenal against some enemy or group of enemies. Maybe in a specific room or something. I've never really experimented with it. So, yeah. Now, in the first of many go screw yourself moments, this room, you probably think, oh, I've cleared everything in here. Turns out, there are invisible platforms here. There's really no indication to this. And right here, there's a missile just in this wall that you blow up with a normal missile. No real indication of that. Just one of those you gotta know to know things. I can't tell you how many times I have missed that missile specifically. And frankly, it's no wonder why. They hit it really well. Still, with that out of the way, should we continue into the depths of Magmore Caverns, we will soon find something that is equally as mean here in Lava Lake. Using our lovely X-ray scope, once we get to the second area of said Lava Lake, clearing out these pesky crates, turns out the artifact has been in our face this entire time. Now, notably, this Magmore is rather annoying. I was going to say, notably, you need a super missile to blow this open. But this artifact is one of the hidden ones that you had no info on. How you are supposed to just know to use the X-ray scope in there, I could not tell you. But it is out of the way, thankfully. This is the artifact of nature, the 8th of 12. A bit weird and ironic that the nature artifact is in a lava cavern, or I guess magma cavern. But I rest my case. I'm no fan of it. It's at least not hard to get. It is just so well hidden in an area that, again, you probably would never even consider using the X-ray scope in. It's kind of crazy. Also, I keep saying X-ray scope. I mean to say X-ray visor. It's called the X-ray scope in Super Metroid, which I've honestly played a bit more of than this game. Still, we did a lot of backtracking. I believe clearing out the rest of Phendrana Drifts and pretty much all of Magmore Caverns. Again, as far as I know, there might be a thing or two here that I may have missed just going as quickly as I did. So hopefully I didn't. Next time we play Metroid Prime, we'll continue to the Chozo Ruins and see just what all we can find there. As always, I'm Brad. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.